Epic the Musical by Jorge Rivera Herranz is a retelling of the story of the Odyssey. Through many well-written and catchy songs, we follow Odysseus as he and his men face dangers across the sea and try to survive the gods and monsters they encounter. It's a well-written story that explores the theme of morality and pragmatism. One question in particular that the musical explores is, throughout the entire journey, Odysseus is told time and time again to eliminate his enemies, to abandon his allies, and we see his will gradually erode over and over, until he finally gives in after hearing the seer's prophecy, and becoming the monster. Or does he? That was the point when he resolved to become the monster, but did he actually become the monster? Maybe he was already a monster. What does it mean to be a monster anyway? Supposedly, Odysseus cut off the tails of those sirens and let them drown because he became a monster. But let's remember, he also fought in a war. Was he a monster for killing his foes in Troy? He did kill a baby, so maybe. But that would mean he's been a monster this whole time. Not an unreasonable notion, but maybe there's a better angle. Maybe killing the sirens can be excused, but what about when he sacrificed 6 men to get past Scylla? He lost men fighting against Polyphemus, but at least he fought. How could he just give up 6 men to Scylla without putting up a fight? What about when Zeus made him choose between his crew's lives or his own? Is he not a monster for giving up his crew's lives just so he himself could live? Luckily, Epic the Musical already spelt out what it thinks being a monster means. To be a monster is to be ruthless. It's how everyone keeps telling Odysseus to act. Kill that Cyclops, leave your friends. Don't show mercy to your enemy, it'll come back to bite you. Time and time again, Odysseus is faced with the option to be ruthless. And time again, he has to pay the price for his failure to do so. So based on that, in order to find out when a man becomes a monster, we can define what qualities are ruthless and what are not, and then measure what traits Odysseus gains and loses throughout the course of the story. When Odysseus and the crew spotted an island with civilization, Puppeteer thinks they might share their food, while Eurylochus suggests they don't have time to waste and should attack. This handily contrasts the human and monster traits, so to speak. Optimism and believing in kindness go against the principles of ruthlessness. This virtue is again shown when Odysseus wants to ask Aeolus the wind god for help. So conversely, the first quality of ruthlessness is that it doesn't believe in the kindness of others. It can't afford to risk getting caught off guard. The next quality of ruthlessness is stated by Athena.
You've grown soft, your dead friends can attest. Hey, put your emotions aside.
Ruthlessness sees sentimentality as a weakness. It doesn't care about your dead friends. Ruthlessness will abandon your comrades if it means you yourself are safe. This is the opposite of Odysseus, who cares about all of his crew. He is constantly bombarded by the screams of those he lost, and he can no longer sleep. That is the cost of being sentimental. When Athena told Odysseus to kill Polyphemus, Odysseus refused, stating, "What good would killing do when mercy is a skill more of the world could learn to use?" However, Poseidon challenges this notion, declaring one of the recurring themes in the musical. What does this mean? To me, mercy is the lack of punishment. You deserve to be punished, but I show you mercy by taking away your punishment. This is opposed to grace, where I give you forgiveness when you don't deserve it. Where grace gives kindness, mercy takes away cruelty. So to me, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves, means we got rid of something bad for us. In Poseidon's example, Odysseus totally could have avoided all this, had he just killed his son. But no! Because he wasn't ruthless and spared Polyphemus, Poseidon came and wiped out nearly all his men. Ruthlessness avoids everything dangerous. Ruthlessness does not care that your foe might not come back. Slaying them now ensures it. Ruthlessness does not want to save your friends. You'd be putting yourself in danger. So putting it all together, ruthlessness does not believe in kindness. Sentimentality is a weakness. And ruthlessness eliminates threats. So how does Odysseus stack up? Well, he killed a baby because it was the child of his enemy. So maybe he was ruthless from the start. But he also spared Polyphemus as an act of mercy. So maybe not. He did greet the Lotus Eaters with his sword. So maybe he did have some ruthlessness in him. Maybe his friend Puppeteer represented Odysseus' kind side, and when Puppeteer died, that marked Odysseus' gradual descent into becoming the monster. Did he become a monster? Forget all that. Let's just focus on Scylla and Thunderbringer. Odysseus sacrificed 6 men to get past Scylla, so he definitely wasn't being sentimental of his crew members' lives. In the past, Odysseus tried to negotiate against the likes of Polyphemus and Poseidon, but this time he did not bother to speak to Scylla at all. That's pretty ruthless. Also, Scylla literally sings about how he and her are both the same. Point 1 to Odysseus being a monster. In Thunderbringer, Odysseus chooses to have his men killed instead of himself. Again, pretty ruthless. Or was it? Was he unsentimental? No, he was absolutely devastated when he made that choice. Was he eliminating a threat when he did this? Sort of. Sacrificing himself would have meant he wouldn't get to go home, so he made the choice that would have prevented that outcome. What about believing in kindness? When he begged Zeus not to make him choose, was he hoping Zeus would be merciful? Probably not. Zeus is a colossal jerk after all. So was sacrificing his men a truly ruthless choice? Maybe. Ultimately, I think it's another point to Odysseus being a monster, but this was like 51-49 split. The Wisdom Saga mainly focuses on Athena, so there's not much to Odysseus' story, but let's try to analyze the state of him while he's with Calypso. From the moment Odysseus wakes up, Calypso is already putting the moves on him, convincing him to stay with her in this paradise. However, Odysseus is forever devoted to Penelope, and wholly uninterested in what paradise has to offer. Is that a point towards him not being ruthless? Probably not, but props to him for not cheating on his wife. In response to Calypso's seduction, Odysseus draws his sword and threatens her. Is this ruthless? Well, I honestly see it as about the same as when he drew his sword on the Lotus Eaters. Ruthless? Maybe, but more likely he's just being cautious and on guard. Calypso's spell prevents anyone from entering or leaving the island, so Odysseus is stuck there as long as her spell is up. Perhaps the ruthless thing would have been to kill her. I can certainly see Poseidon or Athena suggesting that, even if Calypso is in fact immortal. However, Odysseus doesn't fight her at all. This isn't necessarily proof of his not being ruthless, however, I think he would have been looking for a way to kill her if he was as much of a monster as Poseidon thought he should have been. Plus, he reveals that even after 7 years of being trapped in paradise, Odysseus still hears the screams of all the comrades he's lost. He hasn't lost his sentimentality in the slightest. Honestly, the animator did a really good job here, depicting his mental anguish from all the voices in his head. Trapped on Calypso's island, Odysseus did not act ruthlessly. So in the end, did Odysseus ever become a monster? If so, when? When does a man become a monster? Well, I can think of 2 ways to interpret this. Maybe Odysseus is ruthless when he has to be, when his life is literally on the line. But in any other case, Odysseus is just a man who doesn't wish to spill more blood than necessary. When the prophet told him that he wouldn't make it home, perhaps that was the final sign to Odysseus that his way of doing things wasn't working. So he decided to become the monster like everyone kept telling him to be. Then, when that ended disastrously for him, he realized that wasn't working either, and cast off that ruthless mask he put on. Or maybe Odysseus was always ruthless, just as Odysseus was always kind. Maybe he was neither one nor the other. Maybe there are times when he's kind, and times when he must be cruel. Maybe he's just a man, like anyone else. Flawed and contradictory, and constantly trying to make the best decision, while facing the consequences of choosing poorly. When does a man become a monster? I think man is a monster, just as much as he is a man.